This episode of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast is sponsored by Caneswear. Caneswear.com is the spot where Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com. Caneswear.com, the best and most affordable gear for the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Marlins, the Miami Heat, the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, all of the professional and college sports teams in South Florida. Caneswear.com has you covered. If you're in South Florida, you can visit the storefront at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. They ship internationally as well. So Caneswear.com, make it the place. It's the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins gear. That's Caneswear.com, Caneswear.com. And don't forget about Dolphins Talk Extra. Go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk for additional Miami Dolphins content. You get extra access to our private Discord server. You get bonus podcasts covering the Miami Dolphins. You get off-topic content as well. We have live watch-alongs. We have retro rewatches where we watch old games and talk about them. We do off-topic shows. We have prizes, contests, all kinds of exclusive access only for Dolphins Talk Extra subscribers. So join us, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. You can join the fun for as little as $3 a month. Head on over to Dolphins Talk Extra at patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. And now, on with the show.
You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Dolphins Talk, and welcome to another episode of Dolphins Talk. I'm Marissa Marino, and I am joined today by Miami Herald columnist Omar Kelly. Omar, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and it is a pleasure to speak to the woman who has carried Dolphins Nation from the podcast platform for about the last month.
Well, I really appreciate it. Fans need more than baseball, so I just do what I can.
This is the time when most of us take vacation and take a break. So I'm glad you picked up the torch and have really carried it, and you've done an amazing job.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Omar Kelly, speaking of, has his own podcast. He has two of them, actually. If you haven't checked him out, make sure you do so. His first podcast is called Dolphins in Depth, and that's his podcast with the Miami Herald. They're going to be bringing you great stuff from training camp and throughout the season, I'm sure. And then he has another podcast called the Dolphins Collective. Him and two other Dolphins guys join him on a podcast twice a week. So
Three others, yeah.
Three
others.
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness. Okay.
TD, Dudley Durong, and Alan Poupard.
That is the collective. Okay. Well, make sure if you're not already, you subscribe to those. And with that being said, Omar, we are going to jump right into it if you're ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with what has been the biggest issue in recent years, which is the offensive line. Miami loses Armstead to retirement. They signed James Daniels. We know he's coming off of a big injury. They trade a lot of draft capital for Jonah Savayanaya, a rookie that they're probably going to need to start. Do you think, with all that being said, Miami's offense, their offensive line, has improved in any way? And do you think they should have done more, if not to address this situation?
I don't really know how they could have done more. If I would do more, it would probably be, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with where they are from a backup left tackle standpoint. I think they've got a backup right tackle. I think the issue is the backup left tackle. At this point, if something happened to Patrick Paul, I can't name you who's actually going in the game. Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit troubling for me. But, every team has issues like that. Let's hope everybody makes it healthy. I'm curious where Austin Jackson's going to be in his return, and will he pick up where he left off? The Dolphins' offensive line took a drastic dip once Austin Jackson went down. I think the numbers were like when they lost Austin Jackson at midseason to a knee injury in Buffalo, I think they were averaging like 3.3 yards per carry, which is just absolutely disastrous, laughable, shameful for the second half of the season. And it forced Mike McDaniel's hand in terms of the things that he could do, how he had to call the game. A lot of the short passes that we saw to Achane and the tight end, Jonnu Smith. So I'm glad you asked that question, because you obviously know I love my trench play. I love my line play. I believe it was Tom Brady who said it the best. The good teams have good trench play. The good teams have good offensive lines. I probably should write something about that as a Miami Herald column, because I've been preaching that for like 17 years now. The only 3 seasons that the Dolphins have made the playoffs: 2008, 2016, and 2023. Oh, I'm sorry. 3 of the 4 seasons. I really don't count 2022. Because I'm not sure the offensive line was that good in 2022, but it was pretty solid though. But in those 3 seasons, they've had their best offensive lines. They just so happen to have made the playoffs those years. Like, do you see the correlation here? What I like about it is Patrick Paul. He spent a year learning, a year being groomed by Armstead, a year in film study, and everybody on the team swears by him. Including his former linemen, including Rob Hunt, including Kendall Lamb, including Austin Jackson, including Teron Armstead. So I have to be a little bit confident that he can get the job done at left tackle. My question is, will Jonah be ready, and will he be in camp in time to really make the progression that he needs to be a rookie day one starter? And not just an average rookie day one starter, because we had Solomon Kinley, you had Michael Dieter. They started, they also sucked, but actually be good. And to me, that's really the key to the offensive line, along with their health, because right now, Liam Eichenberg's is 6th offensive lineman. I think he's the backup at probably just about all 5 spots, including left tackle. And we all know what happens when Liam Eichenberg gets in the game.
Yeah, but we keep re-signing him every year, so at least the Dolphin fans can hang their hat on that happening.
Here's the thing: there's value in a player that has played, has started, and can play every backup spot on the offensive line. Now he is exclusively being worked at center, and there's value in a backup center. Like, who was it? Dan Feeney, who I swore to you, they signed him to a $3.25 million deal the year they signed Mike White, which was 2023. He was bad. He was very bad. He was not even a top 10 offensive lineman on the team, and probably 9 make it to the 53-man roster. The Chicago Bears traded for him because they needed a center. So to say that Liam Eichenberg has no value, that's not true. That's being disingenuous. But if we're gonna have Liam Eichenberg start for 8 games in the season, it's gonna be trouble.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think that's a fair assessment for sure. So speaking of things that you might like to talk about, let's talk about the culture. This culture has been such a thing that
is a topic that I do not want to talk about.
I was hoping reverse psychology, I could get you to be like, yeah, I love it. So, Mike Aliva, who's the owner of DolphinsTalk, he's often saying that a team who discusses culture are teams that don't necessarily win games. Do you believe?
Heat discussed it all the time.
So I said that. So I said that to him when he said it, when him and I did a last show. I said, well, wait a second. What about Heat culture? And he's like, well, where were the Heat last year? So anyway.
Oh, come on. We're talking about 2 decades here.
I know. I agree. But this is
2 decades. How many finals? Like, let's be
Agreed.
real. Yeah.
Agreed. Maybe they're the outlier, but do the Dolphins truly have, do you believe, because you're there, do you believe they have a culture issue? Or do you think it's a convenient excuse by the front office to explain why they have fallen short in recent years?
Is culture the reason that they went 8-9 last season?
Hmm.
I would say no.
Right.
I would say Tua missing 6.5 games is the reason that they went 8-9 last year. Not having your top two pass rushers is the reason that you went 8-9 last year. Having a trash offensive line is the reason that you went 8-9 last year, with close losses to Colts, Cardinals, and Bills.
Hmm.
Um, you won close games against Jacksonville. You won close game against the Jets the first time before you got smacked in the season finale. Is culture a problem? Is culture the reason that they did not win? No.
Hmm.
Is it an issue that has to be addressed because players are routinely showing up late, or players aren't fighting or hanging out with one another, spending quality time? They don't like each. No, I can't say that. Let me take that. Rewind that.
Rewind. Never happened.
Yeah. I've covered Dolphins teams where the offense hated the defense.
Mm.
Offense just they didn't F with the defense. Oh no, the defense didn't F with the offense. That was a whole Tannehill era. Like,
Yeah,
the
I
defense,
remember. I remember that.
the defense pretty much hated Tannehill, and it was bad. Was that a culture problem? Yes.
Right.
Do the Dolphins have a culture problem? This Dolphins installment, I would say no, but does Mike McDaniel need to be tougher on his players? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Do the players need to have closer relationships and be able to call one another out? Absolutely. Do leaders have to step up and step forward now that Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead are gone? Because those two policed the locker room. They controlled everything. And now that they're gone, things can leak out and become a problem. Now, when a lot of people mention culture, I heard your Louis Riddick conversation. Very good conversation, by the way. I love Louis Riddick.
He's fantastic.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with him. Players set the culture.
Mm.
I've covered this for a long time. Players set the culture. I could tell you the teams that liked being around each other and then the teams that didn't like being around each other. Last year's team did not like being around each other. And maybe it was because the adversity hit. But tell me how many times you saw this team celebrate scores or touchdowns last year. Very few.
Wasn't like the year before.
The year before, oh man, they loved one another. They celebrated one another. They cheered one another on. And it just changed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking Mike, like, have you ever seen that before, where from a year to year you just change? And he's like, yeah. He said something in our last meeting with him. He saw it before, I think, in Washington, and you cannot take for granted that you're going to return the core of the same team and then end up with the same team, because that's not going to happen, because people have different agendas. People have different spots in their life. Hell, Tyreek's going through a divorce. Tyreek wasn't going through a divorce last year.
Other things, but not a divorce.
Yeah. Things happen. People get to contract years. I could tell you, Javon Holland's contract year changed how he conducted himself amongst his teammates. Not having Christian Wilkins changed how the team conducted themselves because their core leader was gone. Tua not being around for 6.5 games, not even being able to rally his team, not being able to practice, not being being in the mix, changed how the offense culture was created. It was a hot mess last year. I can't sit there and say that, oh, this is a Miami Dolphins problem. This is a Mike McDaniel problem. It just was a collection of unfavorable things. It's like you're making lemonade and you put one bad lemon you squeeze one bad lemon. Well, the whole lemonade is messed up now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't save it, you can't drink it, and that's just what happened.
Well, I'm hoping that, we had recently a Fatu Melifonwu on here, and he has a YouTube channel now, and we talked about the DBs all going paintballing, and he put that out on his show, and
Oh,
we talked to Byron Matos, and he was talking about what they were doing in different outings, and so I'm hoping this is getting all these players like a little locked in and building some camaraderie, because they're all saying that it really is. So I'm hoping that's real.
yeah, and Christian Wilkins. I'm not Christian Wilkins. Why did I say Christian Wilkins? And Bradley Chubb. They said the same things last year,
Yeah.
and then Bradley Chubb said, "Yeah, we were lying.
Redaction.
Yeah, we were lying. We were,
Yeah.
but lying to ourselves."
Right.
And he brought up something that I never thought about, which was South Florida's so big, and so many different guys choose to live in different places. When they were in Davie, just about everybody kind of lived in that area, in that Davie area, in that Pembroke Pines. Furthest they go is Pembroke Pines. Now that you're closer to Miami Gardens, you could go west. You could go west to Miami Lakes or Pembroke Pines. You could go east to the beach to live on the beach in Aventura. You could go south, go live in Brickell or Edgewater or Wynwood. You could go south. You could go north, go live in Davie, and that is and go live in Fort Lauderdale. And while other cities and teams have similar issues, that is a unique new problem that I don't think the Dolphins have really figured out and dealt with when they did move from Davie to Miami Gardens.
Mm.
And I swear to you, that's very unique. Like, one player lived down south in Kendall who was habitually late because Kendall traffic is clearly ridiculous. It's an hour and something commute from Miami. Great homes in Kendall, but it's not the exact ideal place for you to live if you're working in Miami Gardens. I lived in Kendall, and I used to do the drive to Davie. Trust me, you don't want to do that drive. I don't know why he just didn't get an apartment across the street and just sleep there during the weeks and then go. But then, you don't understand. Everybody's got their own things, their own issues, and Calais Campbell, I believe, lived in Kendall. So I'm pretty sure Calais wasn't late. So no excuses.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I'm not familiar with the area like I used to be, but we have the Florida Panthers who have killed it, and they're not, I'm assuming, as far down south, but their players.
No, everybody, all of those players live in Fort Lauderdale. They live in downtown. They practice in Fort Lauderdale. So
Yeah.
they put the practice facility in Fort Lauderdale downtown. So all the players live in Fort Lauderdale downtown. But it is a contributing factor to why I don't know hockey. I can't speak about it intelligently. So pretend like you understand that I have been curious about what they've done. You talk to anybody who's covered that team, been around that team, all you hear about is how close they are. Like,
Right.
I think Goldie said it, they'll land in like Edmonton and they'll find out there's a Dairy Queen somewhere close by, and the whole team will go to the Dairy Queen as a group. Like,
Right.
Dairy Queen, like it's just that bond that they have. I don't know how you create that bond. I haven't really seen it here, but who's to say it can't happen? They liked each other in 2023. Maybe they could like each other again in 2025.
That would be really nice. Let's hope that that's going to happen. So we'll move on from that, and we'll talk about something that was really sad to me.
Hold on. Here's one thing.
Oh yeah.
Mike always likes to take the team on road trips, and he's not the only coach.
Right.
I believe Gase did it as well. When they have long road trips, it gives the players away from their family, in hotels, going out with each other for dinner. It creates a great opportunity to bond. And they have this ridiculous Chicago, Detroit joint practice 2 weeks. It's 12 days. 12 days. I like 12. Imagine being on a work trip for 12 days.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So that's what the Dolphins are going to be doing.
Okay.
And it's going to be a great opportunity for them to bond.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to learn to like the person you're around if you're going to be around them for 12 days. I mean, you're going to have to figure it out or be really miserable.
Yeah. It is 12 days.
Yeah.
I mean, because I have to book that trip and figure out the logistics and what I'm going to do. Can you imagine being away from your home for I don't even know if I could pack for 12 days.
I just got back from a work conference for 3 days down in Orlando. And yeah, I mean, 3 days away feels like a lot. And with people you're working with, 12? That should be interesting. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about that.
I've decided I got permission. I'm splitting it up. Well, I'm doing one half and Isaiah Smalls, my partner, is doing the other half because I can't. Also, my daughter's starting pre-K during that Detroit trip, so I definitely want to be there for that.
Well, you didn't ask for our opinion on it, but I think we'll allow it. Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, yeah, I had to run this up many flagpoles to get permission to skip this 12-day field trip.
I imagine you did. Okay, so my sad stuff, but I'm getting over it. I've licked my wounds, is Jonnu Smith. As you know, we lost him. 88 receptions last year, 884 yards, 8 touchdowns. 8 seems to be the magic number for him and all of that. But how is Miami going to replace that? It most likely, in my opinion, won't be from the rest of the tight ends combined. Do you think the pressure is going to fall on Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, or do you think Miami is going to need to get more production like we had not last year, but 2 years ago from their high-paid players, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, to make up for this production loss of Jonnu?
First off, let me tell you, because this is the first time I'm looking it up, it took them forever to turn in the contract.
Okay.
And I'm looking it up for the first time. He did get a 1-year extension that added $12 million to his existing contract. So Jonnu is going to be making 2 years, $16 million. So that basically comes down to $8 million a year, which I thought was a manageable number. I actually would have gone to 9 if I was the Dolphins, in being reasonable, considering there are other tight ends out there that are making 11. So I don't think the contract was the true hindrance. Now that I know what the real numbers are, and just because I know how the sausage gets made, I'm at the opinion right now that the Dolphins looked at it from this standpoint, because I don't think Darren Waller just, all of a sudden just decided he wanted to unretire. You understand what I'm saying? And
a little bit of pixie dust came down and he's like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute here. I got the same agent as Jonnu Smith. I'm going to magically unretire and play for the only coach that I would come back to the NFL to play for in Frank Smith. Oh my gosh, Frank Smith just woke up one day and was surprised that, that Darren Waller just said, oh man, he's going to come out of retirement. We should go get him. So
miracles do happen.
yeah, miracles happen. I really don't think that it was a coincidence that you heard about Jonnu in Pittsburgh for months.
Right.
I really don't think that it was a coincidence that Drew Rosenhaus just so happens to represent Jonnu, who he's trying to get more money for, and Darren Waller, who he's trying to get back in the league so he could get more money for. And I also don't think it's a coincidence that you get rid of Jalen Ramsey, who, I'm going to be very polite in the words that I use, because Jalen is a bully.
Mhm.
And Jalen is complicated and difficult. And Jalen could be a thorn in Mike McDaniel's side.
Mhm.
And if Jalen was here and things didn't go his way, he could potentially be that bad lemon. So Mike had to get him off the team. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the player that he got back happens to be one of Tua Tagovailoa's best friends,
Right.
who happens to live here in the offseason and whose brother happens to be playing his final season at St. Thomas with the whole family here, who happens to just have had a baby, who, I don't think these are all coincidences.
Yeah.
So now I would have loved for Jonnu to have been here. And I really don't think $8 million is unreasonable for Jonnu. However, I would say being able to unload Jalen Ramsey and trade Jonnu Smith for Minka Fitzpatrick, and then end up signing Darren Waller, who bar for bar is a superior tight end to Jonnu Smith. I get rid of 2 Pro Bowlers, I get back 2 Pro Bowlers. So win for me. Now, win for Ross, probably not, because he paid $7 million of a player that he's not going to be here. And win for the franchise, probably not. They're taking an $18.5 million cap hit over the next 2 years just for unloading Jalen Ramsey.
Hmm.
That's the equivalent of about 4 starting players. That's like 2 starters in free agency a year. So don't think that it was like, oh, easy peasy. No, you those are some bad deals that you signed Jalen to. And because you kept extending and changing, it just made it very troublesome to have to swallow.
Mm-hmm. So, with all that being said, sounds like you do think that Waller is going to make up for that production loss of Jonnu, or you think that it's going to have to really be made up by these wide receivers, this wide receiver core that we have.
Most Dolphin fans don't realize that the 2 tight end set is the base offense for the Miami Dolphins. That is their base. That is home base for them.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, you're going to have to use 2 tight ends. If they don't go 2 tight ends, then they go 3 wides and 1 tight end. Whether that's Julian Thomas, who plays just as much as Jonnu Smith, Julian Hill, or Darren Waller, I don't really think it matters. The other player that I don't think people are really taking account of is Tanner Conner.
Mm.
I've loved him in training camp. It has not translated to the real field. Like if you were to ask me who's been the top performer on the second unit offense for the last 3 years.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
I would probably have to say Tanner Conner. I'm thinking maybe 3 years, because he was really good as a rookie. That's how he made the team. He was impressive when he put on weight. And then I think something happened to him medically. And last year, we know do you realize he started over Jonnu Smith in Seattle? Not a lot of people know that. He had beaten Jonnu out for the starting spot in the Seattle game, and then basically sucked. So
so there's this disconnect then between what's going on and how do we bridge that gap, Omar?
It's funny because he knows I've said that, and he knows, he shines when there are no pads on. He's just he's a former wide receiver, and he moves like a former wide receiver.
Right.
He's bigger, he's stronger. He actually is one of the players that knows every position on the offense. That's why the coaches really love him. It's just when the lights are bright, you got to deliver, and he has not delivered. He knows that's the knock on him. But also Julian Hill. I say this knowing that the fan base has a dislike for Julian Hill. He's probably their second least favorite player behind Liam Eichenberg. However, when it comes to John Embry, who is the tight end coach, who I believe has 2 Hall of Famers and 5 Pro Bowlers on his resume, he really believes in Julian Hill. And Julian Hill supposedly is pound for pound the strongest player on the team. So
you brought something to my attention, and I'm going to go off here for a second. You brought something to my attention, which is interesting because he is the person that people love to hate besides Liam Eichenberg. And I'm guilty of it. I'm like, he is just a penalty machine. Yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag.
And John Embry will say he cut down on his penalties in the second half of the
that's
season.
what I was about to say. You brought it to my attention. You said, go look at his penalties the second half of the season last year versus the first. And I looked it up, and my gosh, he had like 1. I mean,
I didn't say that. That was John Embry. So
Well, you brought it to my attention, and I was baffled because I would have sworn up and down, bet you hundreds of dollars that those penalties were committed all season long, fail not. That's not accurate.
According to John Embry, when he was committing penalties early in the year, he was cleaning up for somebody else who was making a mistake. Now, do I know this for a fact? No. But I could tell you, John Embry ain't a liar. So, and John Embry is probably the most critical coach on the entire staff. Like, he's going to call a player out. So he, in fact, the first day we talked to him, basically was like, Jonnu Smith can do better. Like, he was a Pro Bowler, but he left a lot of meat on the bones. And I was like, oh. And this was when Jonnu was skipping practice and skipping camp and wanted more money. John Embry was like, he could do better. He's not a finished product. And I was like, whoa, I should have taken the clues for, and then got word that Pittsburgh's trying to trade for Jonnu. And you see how the sausage gets made.
Right. Well, you're giving us a glimpse, and we appreciate that.
you can't, it's like, it's hard. If the hardcore Dolphin fans knew everything that was going on, they like, you'd never eat sausage if you knew how it was made. You'd never eat sausage. And the NFL, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. Like, think about Zach Sealer's situation. Think about like, I am dying to know how it's not even that he's gonna show up at camp.
Right.
He's probably gonna do exactly what Christian Wilkins do, which is beat people up for 2 weeks when you're practicing amongst yourselves. Christian Wilkins, I had never seen a player more abusive than Christian Wilkins in that 2-week period that he was practicing and he wanted his money. There was one practice, oh my God, every media member will remember this practice. It was inside in the bubble. I think they had to take it inside because it was raining. And we got to see all of the action because we were right on top of it. We were in the balcony. And they started at the 20. So you could hear everything everybody said. Christian Wilkins, I would have arrested him for how verbally abusive he was. It was like, and it was mostly at Eichenberg. It was absolutely brutal, like undeniably brutal. And and that's why, like, guys like Rob Hunt was like, yeah, I don't talk to Christian. Like Rob said, he knows better than to talk to Christian. He like, Christian will say whatever he wants to say, but I'm not speaking to him because Christian is like, and I had never known that. Christian is like in a zone. He doesn't even know what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it was so brutal and offensive. It was just, I hurt my feelings. But my point is, I think Zach is always going to try to do the right thing and set the right example. He's the first guy in, he's the last guy out. He's one of the most underpaid defensive linemen in the NFL. The Dolphins have taken care of him by giving him early contracts twice. He knows that they care, but like, he's turning 30. How do you resolve this? They don't even have any money. Like, how do you resolve this when you're going to say to your team, this is the guy, this is the example of the guy that we want you to do everything like, but we're not going to take care of him as an organization? Like what does that look like? How does that work? How does that sound? We're trying to change the culture, but we don't take care of people who facilitate the culture.
Yeah, I remember last year when you and I got on a podcast around this same time, you had told me, or it was a little bit later in the season, during training camps, you had told me like he won your accolade for like the fact that I forget which one, but you were like, he is that like lunchbox guy. Like he's coming in every single day. He doesn't miss. Like he comes in early, out. Like he had one, like you were like, this guy just like is consistent, always showing up. And yeah, your example.
People, and that's what I didn't like about Zach Sealer's rise to prominence. People think he ate off Christian Wilkins, and I would disagree with you.
Right.
I think they ate off each other, and Zach showed that last year. Obviously, he was playing with playing next to Calais Campbell. That helped, but how many defensive tackles producing back-to-back double-digit sack seasons?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that he's going to continue to do that, but Zach Sealer is a guy that you should want to retire in a Miami Dolphins uniform. You should want to have in your front office or on your scouting department or on your coaching staff when he's ready to hang it up, and Zach Sealer is the type of guy who should spend his whole career with one team, even though he came from the Ravens. I'm very curious to see if this regime is going to address that or if they're going to leave it for somebody else to address.
Yeah. That will be very interesting. And I hope it gets figured out with him staying on the team, obviously, because he is, we can't lose Salt and we can't lose both. One has to stay. It's going to be bland if not. Just bland.
Hey, who knows? Kenneth Grant might become lemon pepper. Like,
well, there we go. There are other seasonings. I get that, but those are your basics, right? So, okay, I digress. Let's talk about Tua, another great topic that you love to talk about. Tua going into year 6, we know he has to stay healthy and he has to be available. When he does play, do you feel, real talk, do you feel Tua has reached his ceiling, or do you feel there is some still left in the tank and he can elevate his game more? Have we seen the best of what Tua has to bring to the table?
I will answer your question by asking you this question.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Was Tom Brady at his best in his 6th season at the age of 26?
Right.
How about Peyton Manning? How about Drew Brees? How about Phillip Rivers? How about Big Ben? As they continue to play, and I believe Brees and all those guys played until they were 40. So 26 to 40. Not that Tua is going to play till he's 40, because I doubt that. I seriously doubt that.
Yeah.
Tua might make it to 32.
Yeah. We need to get him 1 year at a time here.
Yeah. So I don't think he's reached his ceiling.
Okay.
I don't think he'll ever reach his ceiling without a brick wall as an offensive line. That's my personal take. And Tom Brady was the one that said it. My offensive line, I didn't worry about it. I knew they were going to protect me. I could stand in the pocket and make those confident throws. Can Tua stand in the pocket and make those confident throws? Now, let me get off the offensive line and talk about Tua. Just listening to Zach Wilson talk about learning a new offense and talk about the mastery, the timing, the release, because in this offense, you have to throw the ball before the receiver has even made his break most of the time. You have to throw the ball. Like there's some offenses. Ryan Tannehill, I'll use Ryan Tannehill as an example. Ryan Tannehill had to see his receivers open before he threw it. In this offense, it's throw the ball before they get open.
Mm-hmm.
And the mastery that Tua has in it is going to be hard for anybody to replicate, which is why he's probably one of the top 5 most irreplaceable players in the NFL. Because this team is a drastically different team without him. Tua's career, I think I put out the numbers. I think it's either I think he's won 63 or 67% of his games. Extrapolate that. I can't remember which one number. Extrapolate that to 17-game season. He wins 10.7 games a season. Would you, if I told you right now I could give you 10.7 games a season, would you take 10.7 wins a season? Would you take it?
Well, yeah, it's most likely going to get me into at least a wild card spot in my division.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you beat,
Right.
but yeah, you tell me any day I could sign up for the Dolphins winning 10 games. I'm probably going to take it before the season. Like, and I do think too is that I wrote a story when he came back about something, this yacht or boat thing called a Seakeeper, and Tua's into boating now, so he was referencing the Seakeeper. It's like this mechanism, this machinery. It's expensive as hell, like $10,000. They put it in a boat, in the hull of a boat, and what it does is when the water is like, the water's choppy, what it does is it, no matter what, it consistently stabilizes the boat. While it might still shake, it doesn't. I'm trying to get this there. While it might still shake, it doesn't go like this and create seasickness. And basically, all the cool boats have them. I had to do a lot of research because Tua was referencing it, and I was like, okay, I didn't get the metaphor, but now I get the metaphor. He's the Seakeeper of this team. Not only does he stabilize the offense, but the offense's efficiency and time of possession and execution in the red zone, it puts the defense in favorable positions. So to answer your question, have we seen the best of Tua? Absolutely not. No. You haven't even seen 2 years of him staying healthy for an entire season.
Right.
Like the first time he did stay healthy, he was the AFC's number 1 vote getter for Pro Bowl. And in the MVP conversation, number 3, he was ranked the 3rd. He had the third best odds for MVP going into that Baltimore showdown with Lamar Jackson, which was AFC conference number 1 seed and MVP, winner take all. Whoever wins the game, you take it all.
Those were exciting times.
Those were exciting times. It was all downhill from there. But going into that,
we don't have to go into all that.
Yeah. But going into that game, you were the big dogs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Everybody, I used to do the pregame show for QAM, and we'd sit there with the 3 networks on television, and all 3 networks, 3 hours before the game, they'd probably spend 30 minutes of the hour talking about the Dolphins for 3 hours. That was the height of what Steve Ross wants. He wants to be talked about. And you know what got you there? Tua. Yeah. So we shall see. Now, can he beat elite teams and the powerhouses, the juggernauts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes? He's got to prove that. Joe Burrow, he's got, and it's not just him. It's his team.
Right.
The protection has to be good. The run game has to be good. The defense has to be good. The receivers can't drop passes. The running backs can't run wrong routes and lead to interceptions. Everybody always says Tua can't beat good teams. And that's not true. The Dolphins can't beat good teams because Tua isn't the only problem in those games.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree. They are, as your podcast states, a collective. So there you have it. Dolphins collective. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk a little bit real quickly about the defense. The secondary of this Dolphins team as of mid-July leaves a lot to be desired, especially at cornerback. Now, cornerback is a position where you can find guys easier than players at other positions. With that all being said, Mr. Omar Kelly, has Miami totally mismanaged this position? As they probably need to add, I mean, at least one experienced corner if this team is serious about a playoff run? Or do you think they just know something more than we do?
I think both can be the answer.
Okay, I'll allow that.
It clearly seems as if they don't have money right now. So, and there is nobody to sign right now. Nobody's coming down here to save you from the cornerback position. I would make the argument that Xavier Howard, if he's in good shape, can help save you.
I've seen that. I've seen that circulating and
circulating. but I don't know if the damage has been done. And and Xavier, the thing about it is, and I say this, people were like, well, he's been out of the league for whatever. That's a choice. People don't realize he had a $4 million injury guarantee. He went to work last season. The money will be offset. And truthfully speaking, Xavier fell in love with being a father and being in his kid's life and started another business. Did he have opportunities to sign elsewhere? Yes. But those teams wanted him to sign a waiver saying that if you suffered a foot injury again, because you had Liz Frank, we wouldn't cover you. We wouldn't cover you medically. And he chose not to do that. Now, is he passionate? That's the thing about the NFL. When players get to a certain, and this is I know for a fact, when players get to a certain point where they don't need the game, the NFL doesn't want anything to do with you. When you don't need the game, when you don't like, you're not doing the dumb stuff that these coaches want you to do, or you're not jumping through the hoops when they say jump. Whether you could play or not, they're going to push you aside. They want you young, dumb, and hungry. And Xavier's not young, not dumb, and probably not hungry. I'm not sure he plays again, primarily because, as he told me, he likes picking up his kids, like seeing his kids. And that's hard. That's hard to walk away from your family and be like, all right, I'll see you in 7 months. Yeah.
So then what's the answer for this cornerback room? What are you thinking?
Here's what I think will play out. Within the first 2 weeks of training camp, with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, you will learn how good these cornerbacks are.
Right.
They'll be tested. They'll be mentally tested. They'll be intellectually tested. And the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
Now, do they have a guy who can come out of nowhere? Like, people forget, Brent Grimes came out of nowhere and became a Pro Bowler. That I can give you tons of other examples of guys who came out of nowhere and became Pro Bowlers or became upper echelon. Kader Kuhu came out of nowhere.
Is there somebody who you would not be surprised if they were that person?
I'll give you my dog. I think Kendall Sherfield would be the easy answer.
Okay.
Because he's a former high-level pick, started in the NFL for years and hit some hard times, and is basically this is his last window. And I love guys where it's their last window. Like, this is my last chance to have the career that I think I can have and be the player that I think I can have. So I put if I were a betting man and a safe gambler, I would put my money on Kendall Sherfield.
Okay.
Then I'll probably put on Storm Duck because intellectually and conceptually, he's the guy who knows what Anthony Weaver wants to do and does it. And I know how coaches work. They just want you to do what they tell you to do.
Right.
But if I wanted to like hit the home run in terms of the odds, I'm going with Isaiah Johnson because he's long, he's strong, he's athletic. He brought down interceptions during the OTA practices that we watched. I really loved him as a rookie. I thought he was one of the better rookies. I thought he outperformed Cam Smith. Now, obviously, this is going against third teamers, so you know, but I would love to see him out there running routes against running against Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. But the one guy who's got the fastest speed, and whenever they always talk about who's the fastest player on the team, Ethan Bonner's in there.
Yeah.
Ethan Bonner's in the conversation. Now, my question is, if Ethan is so good and so athletic, why didn't they play him last year?
Yeah.
Because they clearly had a need, and they just kept leapfrogging Ethan. And the reason I don't have an answer for you.
Sounds like there are quite a few loose ends that need to be tied up in a bow with this team.
I don't think with cornerback, I don't think there's a rush. And here's the reason I don't think there's a rush.
Okay.
Because when you get to the final cuts of 53, 32 teams are about to cut 5 cornerbacks.
Right.
Some of those players are going to be veterans where they could pick where they want to play. Trust me, everybody trying to get to Miami to retire, but everybody trying to get to Miami. Then you got the waiver wire claim. Okay. Don't want to do that. They're veterans like Stephon Gilmore. Not to say that he's a good fit here, because I don't think he is, who don't want to do training camp. Sign me 2 weeks before the season, and we'll make it work. And so there's that batch out there. Then there's the batch of, okay, guys, where if you're a certain level of status veteran player and you're on the roster, you have to have more than 4 years of experience, and you're on the roster day one of the regular season. You're on the roster week 1. I think you have to make it to the game. Your entire contract for 17 games is guaranteed.
Right.
So teams avoid that. Don't keep them on the roster week 1. Cut them, and then bring them back week 2 where they could go week to week.
Yeah.
So it's not finished. We're not at the final chapter of the book. Then there's a trade option. Like, Chris Greer got a ton of resources. There's going to be some team out there who has an overpaid cornerback that they would like to unload, that they'll trade you for a 6th-round pick. How many trades has Chris Greer made like that? So
every year, Dolphins Twitter during that time of the year. Oh, Chris Greer, he's cooking. Oh, we're back. Oh, we're back again. We're back again from being back. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I will say this.
Chris Greer rarely ever loses trades.
Right. Yeah.
You can say whatever you want about him. He ain't losing a trade.
Right.
So,
well, he needs to have something going for him. So we'll let that be the case. Anyways, we have to wrap up. So I have lots of questions left, but you and I enjoy talking. So I'm going to let you pick. You want to talk about this Dolphins front 7 on defense, or do you want to talk about Mike McDaniel?
I'll go with Mike because the defense is unknown.
Okay.
And really predicated on health.
Okay. So let's talk about Mike McDaniel. Some people believe that he is on the hot seat. And Chris Greer.
He is. They are.
Okay. So you feel they are. That was my first part of my question.
The owner said status quo won't do. What's the status quo?
Right. Well, that's a great question. What is his status quo? I truly don't know.
Well, status quo, considering you've only made the playoffs 4 of the last 25 years.
Yeah.
You know what status quo is.
Right.
Playoffs is what saves you.
Right.
I think 10 in my opinion, I think 10 wins is what saves you. And I think circumstances like a Tua injury could factor into that. But I think 10 wins save you.
Okay.
I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you need to win a playoff game to save yourself.
Okay.
I know Dolphin fans are obsessed about the fact that they haven't won a playoff game in 25 years.
Naturally, I mean.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
I would point out to you that has way more to do with Tom Brady and Josh Allen than it has to do with what caliber team you field. Because when you look at the statistical studies, hosting a playoff game, pretty much 73% leads to winning a playoff game. You're not hosting a playoff game being in Tom Brady's division. And Josh Allen's been your daddy for 7 years. So
makes me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Mississippi, we have a saying that goes knee high on a grasshopper. And I was knee high on a grasshopper, like this small, when we last won a playoff game. So, Omar, I mean, there's some feelings around that. There for sure is some feelings. But let's say that the season does what you say. Do you but let's say that we don't win a playoff game and
10 wins, no playoff win?
Yeah. Do you think that there's a situation? Well, let's go. No. Let's just change it. Let's say that they don't do great. Do you think that there is a situation where one of them stays and the other one would be let go? Greer or Mike McDaniel survives without the other? Or do you think that if this season fails to meet expectations, both are gone and we're looking at a total house cleaning?
I don't know, because the way that I think it should be done is completely opposite of the way that Steve Ross has done things.
Right.
But maybe he's gotten to the point where he realizes how I've done things hasn't worked out for me before.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a column in the Miami Herald a while ago, probably the end of the season, explaining to Dolphin fans why you still have the same regime.
Mm.
And in that column, I pointed out to you, do you recall or remember all of Steve Ross's hirings and hiring experiences? You probably don't, because you're living in the moment, but I've covered them all. They have all been traumatic as hell for him. Every single one of them. The Jeff Fisher, okay, let's retrack it. You come in as owner, triggers a Parcells contract clause where he could walk away with every single dollar he's owed. You have to beg him to stay. He does. Stuff gets dysfunctional. The coach stuff gets dysfunctional. Parcells like, I'm out of here. I can't even deal with this mess anymore.
Right.
You get to the point where the coach and the GM do not talk. In Sperano and Ireland, do not talk. No communication, none, zero. They're not talking to each other. And and it's because of you, because you went out and you flirted with Harbaugh, even though you had a head coach. Then let's fast forward. The next year you fire him, you go after Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher turns you down. And then you end up with Joe Philbin. Horrible hire. Then you go about your business and you say, okay, Ireland, I'm firing you. But anybody who I hire has got to keep Joe Philbin. 4 guys for GMs turn you down. Four. And you end up with Dennis Hickey. 4 guys turn you down and you end up with Dennis Hickey. You settled. And while Hickey's here, he does 1 year. You realize you don't like him, and then you hire Mike Tannenbaum to put ahead of him after hiring him as a consultant. Then you get Tannenbaum, and he whacks Hickey, and then after he whacks Hickey, he puts Greer in charge. Greer in charge as the puppet, and then they hire Gase. They didn't hire Gase. Tannenbaum hired Gase. Okay, Tannenbaum and Gase, power struggles. You eventually whack Tannenbaum. No, you eventually whack both of them at the same time. Then you put Greer in power. Greer gets his number 1 guy, Brian Flores. Brian Flores is a pain in the you-know-what. He's insubordinate, and you eventually have to fire him because he doesn't do what you tell him to do. After you fire him, he sues you and embarrasses you, leads to a lawsuit against the NFL. Then what am I missing? Then you hire Mike McDaniel. 8 teams are looking for head coaches. Oh, no. Sorry, I skipped that. Skip something. Then you go out, you fire Flores. You go out and you try to court Sean Payton, even though he's got an employer. You tamper, get pow for that, even though we really don't. That's not really what you got pow for. You got pow for tanking. Let's be real. You got pow for that. Then 8 teams are looking for head coaches, and everybody's searching for a head coach. You hire the one guy who only interviews with you. 8 teams are looking for head coaches. Nobody else interviewed him. And that's your guy.
I need an antacid after all of that.
Would you be excited about, like, yay, I'm going to go hire some new people now after hearing about that?
Oh, gosh.
That's been his life as the owner.
Yeah.
And he's caused it. He's done it. And there are 2 things that he did it, but not properly. He's never done a complete reset, fired the top football decision maker and the head coach at the same time.
Right.
He did fire Gase and Tannenbaum at the same time, but he kept Greer and elevated Greer, so basically kept the same management.
Right.
And he's also never hired a head coach with experience, which has been something that I've always felt he does that intentionally. In all of his businesses, he prefers, and he has said this to me, he prefers to hire people where he's giving them their first opportunity because he feels like those people work the hardest for you. And considering I wanted Doug Peterson to be this team's coach, and it went completely left for Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. I'm not saying Doug Peterson would have been a better coach than Mike McDaniel, but Mike McDaniel's doing a better job. So I don't know. I'm
going to have to put a disclaimer on this part of the show before we get into that and tell people that they really need to be like seated or like mentally prepared. Are they mentally fit for this segment of the show?
You fans experience it.
Right.
I lived through it.
Right.
I have to get to know all of these schmucks or people.
Yeah.
And deal with them and cover them, and and it's I shouldn't say schmucks because they're not all schmucks. It has not been a pleasant experience. Could Steve Ross have done things differently to produce a different result? Maybe, but that hasn't been the number one problem this franchise has. The number one problem this franchise has had is that they continue to invest in the wrong quarterbacks, and they never want quarterbacks to have competition. You continue to do that, and you're always going to lead. It's always going to lead to disaster. Yeah. So.
Well, there you have it. We're going to end on a fun note. We're going to do a lightning round real quick, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I want you to give me your answers. And at the end of the season, we're going to look back and see how you did.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go. First question, over under on number of games Liam Eichenberg starts this year, 5.5, over or under?
Over.
All right. Devon Achane, over 1,500 all-purpose yards in 2025.
Over. He was 1 yard shy of it last year.
Was hoping maybe you didn't fully know that, but I digress. Okay, we'll keep
I'm
going.
a professional.
Maybe something slips through the cracks every now and then.
Okay.
Next one. Is Mike McDaniel still the Miami Dolphins head coach when they play in Spain in November?
Oh, Spain? I got to look at how many. Yeah, I'm going to go. I think he might finish the season.
Okay, great. What is more likely? The Dolphins win a playoff game this season, or the Dolphins hold a top 10 draft pick in next year's draft?
Dolphins hold the top 10 draft pick in next year's draft.
Okay. And final one. Will Tua throw for more than 27 touchdowns?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes, because I don't think they have a run game that could punch it in.
Well, there you have it. You did it. You're not even sweating. You didn't even break a sweat.
Those are good. Those are good. I enjoyed that.
I'm curious to see. We're gonna have to see how this all pans out. I mean, you might have hit them all, you know.
I don't know. I feel a little queasy on the will Mike McDaniel be employed by the because
Yeah, I felt like let's see what Omar has to say when he's doing a lightning round.
I think because Ross is going to want to send. No, you know what? Actually, giving Weaver an opportunity probably would be the best thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Mike,
Well,
that's the
Family
thing.
Feud, you can't change your answer. You got to stick with it.
Yeah,
Harvey wouldn't let you do it, so we're going with it. This has been so much fun. I appreciate you. I know we're cutting into your vacation time since you are about to really get into the nitty-gritty of things. But thank you so much. Everybody, do not forget Omar Kelly, Miami Herald columnist. Make sure you follow him on Twitter for great stuff. And if you just want to be entertained, too.
Yeah. I do want to do one plug.
Yes, go for it.
Right now, the Miami Herald has an offer, and I know you're going to get you need your training camp fix.
Okay.
I am behind the paywall. It is what it is. That's how I get paid.
Mm-hmm.
We have an offer 3 months for $1. Now we jack it up after that 3 months, but you can cancel. So
3
definitely
months for $1, done.
3 months. 3 months for $1. So that's going to carry you till about November.
Yeah.
Might carry you till October.
Yeah. I mean, and Omar Kelly is putting his blood, sweat, and tears into this stuff. So if it's not worth at least $1, I mean, come on, people, get it together. Okay. So follow him at Twitter at Omar Kelly. Again, his 2 podcasts. The one with the Miami Herald is Dolphins in Depth. And then we also have the Dolphins Collective, which he has twice a week as well. So make sure you check him out. Omar, any parting words for Dolphins Talk listeners?
No. Yes. Let me retract that.
Okay, you are allowed. I'll allow it.
I don't want to chastise Dolphin fans for their negative attitude heading into a season, but there are a lot of players, a lot of employees, a lot of staff members who put in a lot of work to try and work hard to give you the season that you have. There are no guarantees because Tua can get injured and your season could be down the pooper, or you could lose Patrick Paul and season could be down the pooper.
Right.
But let's try to go into the season. I'm not selling you hope. All I'm telling you is give them a chance. Unfortunately, about 40% of this fan base, they just want this team to suck so that everybody's fired. I don't think that that's the way to go into a season if you are a true, genuine fan. And I can tell you, this team, if they stay healthy, can win game, can produce a winning season. Mike McDaniel has a good record. Tua has a good record. Like they can. Devon Achane is playing for money. Like that, Tyreek Hill is playing for money. Like he is not making $40 million next season. He knows he's in a contract year. Like, give this team a chance. Let's stop all this negative stuff that's going on, Dolphin land.
So Omar Kelly would like you to know if you find hopium on the streets, he'd like you to get it. He would like you to buy it, digest it.
People who know me and know my work, they know I don't sell hope.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm selling.
I know what you're saying.
I'm saying is they got a chance.
Yeah.
When's the last time you had Tyreek and Waddle healthy for an entire season?
Yeah.
Like you saw what happened when Tua was healthy for an entire season. Devon Achane's a yard away from 1,500 all-purpose yards. You just had a tight end set a franchise record in every category. You got a better tight end, who's the offensive coordinator's one favorite player.
Mhm.
Like, if the offensive line is, Weaver's, you've had a top 10 defense the last 2 years
Mm.
with pretty much not that great of personnel. Because I would argue to you, last year's personnel was not very good on defense, yet they still had a top 10 defense. How? I don't know.
Mhm.
Actually, I kept asking how third down efficiency, red zone efficiency, because they didn't even have turnovers. So you will have a chance to have a good season. But, Dolphin fans are going to be Dolphin fans. They just want everybody to lose and suck so everybody gets fired so we can reset and get some quarterback that nobody knows the name of right now.
Well, let's keep the faith, and faith without action faith without works is dead, they say. So let's keep the faith and throw a little action in there and make it happen. We'll see if we can rally the troops. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody who has tuned in. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to Dolphins Talk. We've got a lot of great interviews coming your way still this off season. No, I do not take vacations. Those are only for Omar Kelly only. So, just kidding. All right, everyone. Well, hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and fins up.
Hey everyone, Mike here from DolphinsTalk.com, and thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to take a second to smash the like button here on this video and also to ensure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We thank you so much for listening, and we know there are a lot of podcast options out there these days regarding the Miami Dolphins and with non-Miami Dolphins podcasts. So we do appreciate you giving us a few minutes each and every day to tune in and listen to all of our shows. Everyone here on staff, thanks you so much. And if you enjoy these shows, also please be sure to sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra, our Patreon service at patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, where we have bonus podcasts about the Dolphins and some shows not about the Miami Dolphins. We have a private message board. We also have a ton of contests where we give away really cool prizes, and it's all for the low cost of $3 a month. Again, that's patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. And also, please be sure to follow the written content we have up on our website. So check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com, each and every day. Once again, thank you again for listening. Take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.